Good afternoon, good evening. Greetings from Phi Theta Kappa headquarters in central Mississippi, where it is a balmy, 87 degrees this afternoon. I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Laurie Brown. I'm Director of Scholarships with Phi Theta Kappa. I have a couple of my team members with me this afternoon helping man the Q&A and chat boxes. Hopefully we'll get to see everybody's smiling face at the end of the presentation. But Kristen Ware and Sarah Reynolds are helping us out this afternoon, manning the questions that you guys will have, hopefully throughout the presentation. So I welcome everybody. I know that everybody's excited to learn how to position yourself to earn scholarships, not just from us, but from other scholarship providers, four-year schools, other nonprofit organizations. We hope that you find this presentation helpful. Please do, as you think of questions, put them in the Q&A box. That's going to be the quickest way to get your question answered. Do check the Q&A box to make sure that no one else has asked the same question. That way we can move through everyone's questions as quickly as possible. We'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. And we'll have a Q&A. We'll probably have about a 40-minute presentation, 30-minute presentation. We'll have time for Q&A at the end. And then we will have this recorded and posted. Everyone who registered for the webinar will receive a link to the recording when it's been edited and has been posted for viewing. So if you have to slip out early, don't worry about it. You can catch it in its entirety in about a week or so. I'll introduce you to our team very quickly. There are 6 of us who administer scholarships either internally through our scholarship application or that work with four-year schools. So the people you see on the screen here, real people. We do answer your emails. We do answer your phone calls. We're not robocalls, and we're not based overseas. So we are real human beings. And if you email us, I promise you, you will get an answer. We currently administer, oh gosh, we'll get into this in a minute. I get ahead of myself. But the key things to remember when you're looking for scholarships is every scholarship has a purpose. If you don't qualify for that scholarship, I encourage you not to apply for it because you're really wasting your time and you're wasting valuable time, because I know how important time is to a college student. If it's for nursing majors and you're a petroleum engineer major, you probably shouldn't apply. Every donor that gives us money has a scholar, a specific type of scholar they're looking for, and that's what we build our eligibility guidelines on. Everything is posted on the website. You don't have to be a member to go to scholarships. PTK.org and click on scholarships. I'm sorry, I get my 2 portals confused. But you can certainly look over all those programs. You can look over all the eligibility requirements. If you're still not sure, you can certainly take the eligibility quiz, and it will determine that for you. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Phi Theta Kappa scholarships are not automatic. Once you accept membership, you're guaranteed access to an opportunity to scholarships, but they're not automatic. We pay scholarship funds directly to you so that you can use that money for whatever you want to use it for, whether it be a book or a laptop or gas in your vehicle or childcare or groceries or tuition or room and board or rent or just anything. The college doesn't get to make that decision for you. But at the end of the day, we have 2 different kinds of scholarships, and we need to understand the difference before we go a little further. PTK scholarships are available through our scholarship applications that we house in our portal online. That's the money we pay directly to you. Those are mostly competitive. I think all but one is competitive. One is financially need-based. Everything else is going to be merit-based. Once you have gone through that process, there's the other kind of scholarship are going to be the scholarship dollars or the transfer scholarships that are offered to you as a PTK member by almost 900 four-year schools across the country. We'll talk about that database a little later. Those also are not automatic, but those are also not funded by Phi Theta Kappa. Those are funded by the individual school that offers that program to our members. They kind of recognize the academic achievements that you guys have under your belts, and they want to reward that with transfer money. So when you get ready to look for those transfer scholarships, keep in mind that we don't administer them. We don't give them the money. We don't tell them how to award them. We don't have anything to do with that. And our scholarship application, as it stands on the website right now, doesn't feed over to those four-year schools. So once you've applied for scholarships at ptk.org, it's not for those four-year school programs. We'll talk a little bit about that, excuse me, when we get to the kind of the end of the presentation. So these are programs that we administer internally through our online application. There's 25 different programs. We will have 80,000 plus students start the process. We'll have about 20,000 complete in the course of a year. We'll recognize a little over 600 scholars, and we'll give out almost $1 million in scholarship funds directly to students just like you. The transfers, there are some programs that do bring additional scholarship dollars at the state level, and that brings you closer to $46 million nationwide when you're talking about transfer scholarships. So there's a lot of money out there to be had. You just have to understand what the donor's looking for and how to get there. Some examples of our competitive scholarships are the All USA program, the Hearst Review, the Hearst NCLEX Review, the Heights Transfer Scholarship, the Geist White Scholarship, the Koch Scholarships, different programs like that. We talk about the scholarship programs that are offered to our members, especially those ones that are offered to you by the four-year colleges. Those are housed in PTK Connect. That's a database that will tell you where the schools are, how much the transfer scholarship is, who the contact person is, when the deadline is. It will tell you pretty much everything you need to know, and if it leaves some questions, it will give you the contact person. You can email them or call them directly. Also, the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, that application, the undergraduate transfer application, is open now. Over 80% of their scholars are Phi Theta Kappa members. So what they're looking for in a scholar is very closely tied to what our donors are looking for in scholars, and we find that our members do really well with Jack Kent Cooke, with Fulbright, and with the Jeanette Rankin. So even though you may not get an internally funded scholarship through our online application, it may well be that your Phi Theta Kappa membership and your involvement is recognized by an externally funded scholarship provider. And we encourage you to seek out all of those connections and make those applications, because what you learn in any kind of scholarship application presentation or webinar can translate easily from PTK to Jack Kent Cooke to Fulbright to Rankin to other scholarship providers. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask Kristen to pop the application link down into the chat box, and we want everyone to visit scholarships.ptk.org. You don't need any leading W's. You don't need the www dot. Just type in scholarships.ptk.org, and you will see the scholarship application. You hit begin now. The spring deadline is far gone. We'll talk about that in a minute, but our fall deadline is December 1st. So this is the time to pop in and get your application started, allowing yourself plenty of time to complete and proofread and submit so that you can hit that December 1st deadline. So you may ask yourself what I'm eligible for, and you may have read the eligibility guidelines on the website, but this online application is pretty smart. So you answer the 15 or 16 questions that we've got there for you, and it will tell you instantly what programs you're eligible for. If you're eligible for programs, the different sections of the application will open. They're color-coded, so when something is not complete, it's orange. As you work through all the questions on all the different sections, your section headings turn green. And there's a progress bar at the top of the application that will tell you 46% or 55% or 98%. When it hits 100% and all your sections are green, you know it's complete. So there, even though there's no formal submission process, we accept all completed applications on the deadline day, regardless of your action. But if you do want to click the submit button on the last section at the bottom of the page, it will give you a confirmation message. just to let you know that it's done and you're finished. We can't replicate it, we can't email it to you, and you can only get it one time. However, if you submit it and you decide, oh my goodness, I need to go back and correct this word, it's fine. It will write over everything for you, and it will be as long as it's 100% complete. You can make edits to it up until 5 o'clock on December the 1st of this year, and we will accept it. No matter how many times you hit submit, no how many, it doesn't really matter what you do to it. If it's if it's complete on deadline day, we will collect it for you, and we will put you into consideration for any and all programs that you're eligible for. One application, it's a one-stop shop. So we encourage you to, again, get in there early, get started, so that you can get finished by the deadline. So these programs are open to all students, all citizenship statuses, full-time, part-time, career tech, transfer, certificate, associate degree, AAS degree, AAT degree. The only stumbling block that some students have is you have to be enrolled in a minimum of 6 credit hours through the end of this year. So and you have to have, for most of the programs on here, with the exception of workforce programs, you have to have at least 36 credit hours earned by the end of December. If you're having trouble understanding how many credit hours you have completed, you can email us a copy of your unofficial transcript, and one of our staff members will be happy to help you understand how many credit hours you have. Typically, it's everything shown on your transcript plus whatever's in progress this fall. So as long as you're enrolled through the end of December and have your 36 credit hours, you should be eligible for some of these programs on this scholarship application. However, we cannot tell you until you start the eligibility quiz. Make sure you're reading. We're fond of saying reading is fundamental. We know that time is valuable to you as a college student, but we encourage you to slow down and read the questions, answering the questions as they're asked. As we said before, the logic is pretty solid. This program is pretty smart. And if you're answering the questions the way that you should be, and you're being honest with your responses, this thing will figure out what you're eligible for and tell you that. You do yourself a disservice if you try to fool it and tell it things that aren't true, because then you get it confused and it doesn't know what to do. So then it turns a lot of things red. Red is always bad on the scholarship application. And every single day we get students who email us and say, I don't understand why I'm not eligible. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's because the GPA is either not high enough, they haven't read the eligibility requirements, or they haven't read the question or answered the question correctly, or it conflicts with an answer. They say they are enrolled in a bachelor's degree program, but they say they're graduating with an associate degree. So it really confuses the eligibility quiz. We encourage you to be honest and read. Slow down and read. Take just 5 or 10 minutes to read through the questions and answer them honestly. The programs that are open for the fall right now with the December 1st deadline are the All USA Academic Team Program, which does include your New Century Awards and your Coke Awards, as well as your All-State Academic Team Awards in 39 states, 2 transfer scholarships, the Geist-White Scholarship, the Heights Transfer Scholarship, the Geico Pathway to Completion Scholarship, the Obendorf Lifeline Completion Scholarship, which helps with associate degree completion, the TEK Production Scholarship for a graphic design, event management, production kind of person, and some regional scholarships that are they really vary from state to state and in the different amounts. So again, the deadline is December the 1st. You want to get started now. I know that it's the middle part of October, but for some of you, midterms are coming up. Finals will be just right around the corner. Coursework will be intense. Holidays are coming up, so you want to go ahead and get on it, allowing yourself plenty of time to write responses to questions and get your letters of recommendation. This deadline has passed, but we do have some spring scholarships. So if we have students attending the webinar this afternoon that have less than 36 hours completed as of December the 31st, I want to encourage you to apply early in 2022 because we'll have these programs available: the Leaders of Promise, Geico Pathway to Completion, Open Door again, IPSLE, that's for your fire science, fire technology, emergency medical services, homeland security, um, community risk reduction, fire prevention, public safety education students. There's 3 different programs there. A workforce award, another TEK award, and some more regional scholarships. That will have a deadline of mid-May of 2022. So for all you students who are joining us this afternoon who have less than 36 hours, maybe this is your first semester, as long as you have 12 credits completed by the end of this year, going into January, you should be able to apply for these scholarships in February to March next year when it opens. So put that on your calendar. I know it's a couple of months off, but it's never too early to start planning. It's never too early to start building a scholarship resume and flexing your scholarship application muscles. Some other scholarships that we have available that are maybe our standalone applications are for pharmacy technician students, students who are going to be taking the pharmacy technician certification exam. You don't have to be a member to sign up for that scholarship. It's a pretty easy application. The link is on our website. The Hearst Review NCLEX. If you're getting ready to graduate and take your NCLEX exam to be a registered nurse, you'll want to go ahead and check that out. That's open to the end. Both of those are open to the end of October. For any students who are looking at master's degrees down the road, we've got a scholarship for that because as you may or may not be aware, the further up the educational ladder you climb, the fewer scholarship dollars are available. So when you get to the master's degree level, there aren't as many scholar dollars as there are for bachelor's programs. And then for students who are pre-nursing, who are looking to get into a nursing program or doing some sort of health science, if you're doing the TEAS prep, we've got some awards that help you cover the cost of your course materials. That's open until December the 1st as well. So there's lots and lots of scholarships to apply for. You can apply for as many of these as you feel like you're eligible, and in addition to the main scholarship application. So another reason you're all here is to learn how to write an effective scholarship applications, some tips, some hints, some best practices. Aside from reading being fundamental and understanding the purpose, I would caution you to know your deadlines. Not only for our program, which is December the 1st, but for other programs that you may be applying for. Understand the deadline, put it in your phone. Do not start your application the day of the deadline. You need plenty of time to proof. You need plenty of time to request letters of recommendation. You don't want to be in a hurry. Judges can tell when you've been in a hurry. So you want to give yourself plenty of time. So when you either our scholarship or other scholarships, you want to understand the purpose and the deadline before you get started. I like to tell students you can't eat an elephant in one bite. You can't really do an effective scholarship application in one sitting. It takes some time management. It takes a little bit of, I won't say research, but a little bit of background to gather some of your involvement dates and some of your, think about a biography, think about what you want the judges to know about you, write some things down. So it does take some time to go through the application. And not only with ours, but with any of the others, if you can get a PDF copy of your scholarship application as a blank, that gives you an opportunity to kind of look at it and understand what's being asked and what you're going to need to collect and have ready with you when you start applying. And I think, look, Kristen can probably pop a link down into the chat box. We've got a terrific support library that Kristen curates with much love and attention. There's links throughout the application to the support library, but it gives you lots and lots of information on many different ways to improve your scholarship application. But a lot of the judge feedback has told us the letters of recommendation that you're requesting, the more solid the letter, the better it is, the more effective it is. So what we want to do is encourage you to be respectful of the people that you're going to ask to write your letter of recommendation and give them time. Just as you need time to go through your scholarship application and kind of work on and edit it, you need to give them time to understand what you're writing, give them a copy of your scholarship application. Tell them about the program that you're applying for. Tell them what you're eligible for. Make sure they know you. Make sure that they're aware of your accomplishments and your involvement. Um, there's an article out on the support library that will tell you exactly what judges want to see in a letter of recommendation for the Phi Theta Kappa scholarship application. Take them a copy of that. We've got a form out there. If your professor wants you to formally request a letter, there's a form out there you can request it. We tell you what they need to include in the letter. Sharing that information with them and having a conversation with them and being respectful of their time and kind of educating them on what the judges are looking for. We've given all that to you, so we do encourage you to go ahead and get started on that. Judges like to know who you are. So these judges reading your scholarship applications for Phi Theta Kappa, they've never met you. Your advisors may know you, your nominators may know you, your professors may know you, of course, your friends and your family know you. These judges, they don't know you, and they're reading scholarship applications from all over the country, Canada, some sovereign nations. So you want to be able to tell your story with a scholarship application. So I tell my own child, as I would tell you guys, use the entire application as a vehicle to tell your story, to tell the judges exactly who you are. You take advantage of every single question that's being asked, every single blank space that you have to include information. You want to illustrate the impact that you're having on the people around you in your community, on your campus. You want to be able to translate what you're doing into meaningful parts of the scholarship, which makes having a blank copy of your app more important. So if you understand what we're asking, you can say, well, I did this, but I can make, I can put it in, it's like putting a puzzle together. So make sure all the pieces are coming together and telling your story effectively. We had a scholarship application last year and the student copied and pasted his career goal into every single discussion question, activity box, everything. That was a fully completed application, but it said the same thing from page to page to page. And the judges tossed it out because that doesn't tell the judge anything. If you say it one time, you don't need to say it again. If you've listed one volunteer activity, you don't need to keep reusing it. All those blanks need to capture all the information about you. It needs to tell your whole story. If you're terrible at telling stories like I am, ask for help. Ask your get a group of buddies together and say, hey, can you help me? What do I do? What do you think I do the best thing? What's the best thing I'm doing? How do you think I'm doing this? Let them tell you. There's no harm in collaborating a little bit. I don't want anybody to write your scholarship application. I don't want you to pay people to write the responses to your scholarship essay questions because we will check that. But there's no harm in asking people. There's no harm in asking advisors and nominators. So kind of, if you're not sure how to tell your story, ask for help. If you don't know, ask. In anything, if you don't know, ask. So one of the hardest things to do with a scholarship application is write. And we know that we don't like to write. We don't like to write research papers. We don't like to write essays. We don't like discussion questions on exams. But you have to. It's just part of it. So to help you, if you'll sit down, if you don't have one already, scholarship resumes are a great place to start. This is a collection of anything from a biographical statement to a career goal statement to, if you've ever filled out a scholarship application, answers to those discussion questions. It's a list of your volunteer activities. It's a list of the ways that you're engaged in your community, your leadership roles, maybe where you work, where you interned, where you co-opt, your skills, your interests. It's a collection of everything, and you can build on it. If you've never done a scholarship application, our scholarship application is a great place to start your resume. And I like to tell students, after you're done with your education, your scholarship resume can be flipped over into a resume that you would use looking for a job, because especially if you don't have work experience, like my youngest son, he'll graduate in May, but he hasn't had time to work. So he will take his scholarship resume and his engagement and involvement on the college campus and his leadership, and he'll translate that into job skills to look for his first job. So it's not even going to be a waste of time, because you can take that scholarship resume, turn it into a job resume. Every single discussion question you answer on every single scholarship application is a chance to add to your resume and have sample responses. And you can take a piece of this and a piece of this, and in Word you can copy and paste and build something. You don't always have to start from scratch. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Um, when you're talking about citizenship requirements, we've got tons and tons of articles out there that talk about what citizenship goes with what. But if you're unsure, just send us an email um, at scholarships@ptk.org, and we'll certainly help you with it. There's a citizenship requirement. There's a lot of different requirements for a lot of different programs, but um, pretty much there's not anything that's not allowed on these scholarships. Um, I talked about it just a little bit, but have proofing parties once you've written it. And I'm the world's worst, and Kristen will tell you to this very minute. Um, Proofread. I will misspell a word in a heartbeat, but because I've looked at it all day, I don't see it. So organize proofing parties. Get your chapter together. Get your study group together. Get a group of friends together. Proof each other's scholarship applications. Proof each other's essays. Take that constructive criticism from your friends and your peers and make your application stronger. Let your advisor read your um, application after you've proofed it. Let them give you some constructive criticism. Ask your nominator to review your application. Get as much proofreading done and as much constructive criticism on your application done as you can. Um, it will be worth it in the end. And then once you've got your final draft there, read it one more time and make a copy of it. Because all the work that you put into our scholarship application, you can use again. You don't have to sit down and rethink, oh, when did I volunteer for this? Or what was my leadership position? Or how many hours did I spend doing that? It's all written for you. It'll make your next scholarship application easier to do. Because with anything else, practice makes perfect. And the more scholarship applications you can apply for, the better you're going to get. Um, but only scholarships that you're qualified for, please, please. I need my engineering students to quit applying for nursing scholarships because you're not ever going to be considered. And you're going to be very angry at me when you're not selected. And I don't know what else to tell you. Or my education students or what other kind of students. But understanding the purpose. There's lots and lots of scholar dollars out there. You just have, and they're not easy. If scholarships were easy, every single student would get a scholarship. But unfortunately, they're not. Some are easier than others. Some are more difficult, but they do take time. And the more time you spend on them, the better. So again, the link to our scholarship library, our support library, our resource library, whatever you want to call it, is support.ptk.org. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't even get in the chat. I think Kristen's probably put that in the chat. If not, email us and say, hey, how do I get to the support library?
Oh, yes, it's in the chat, Laurie. We're good. I'll keep putting
Yay.
it in the chat too, along with our email address.
Oh, good. See, Kristen's good like that. Kristen's good like that. So, and I can't speak to other scholarship providers, but for PTK, our donors are looking for where your passion and your involvement intersect. I like to go back to one of the scholars from several years ago who studied environmental science. She absolutely loved it. She loved it so much, she walked the walk and she talked the talk. Her lifestyle reflected what she was studying. She would study something, she would learn something new, she would go implement it in her own life. And she was so passionate about that she began to become involved in volunteer opportunities that spoke to environmental science, ecology, different things like that. So where her passion and where her volunteerism intersected was was the fertile ground for her scholarship application, because the judges knew that she not only studied this, she lived it, and she volunteered, and she tried to educate other people. She used her education for good things. She used her education to educate her community, to educate her daughter's school, or different things like that. So that intersection right there in the middle, um, that's the sweet spot. So if you're a nursing student and that's your passion, is helping people and that area, and you volunteer in that same vein, that intersection of what you love and what you do, that's what you focus on. Um, that's what the judges have told us. That's what makes a special scholar, is they can tell where that intersection is, and the student writes about it, and the student uses that intersection to weave the story um, of themselves. But the connections matter. We talk about that intersection, but who you are, what you're studying, what you want to do, what you're doing in your community, how you're solving your problems, all those things come together in your scholarship application. And in a successful scholarship application, especially for the All USA program, your significant endeavor will be a combination of all of these things. It won't be disjointed. It will be very natural and very organic. Because what you're doing to make an impact on the people around you will come out of a need that you found, a need that you found a solution for, and how you directed that solution. And that's probably going to come from your passion, either what you're studying, what you've experienced, what you're going to do with your life down the road. But the connections matter. Um, I find it difficult to believe that a judge would read one biographical statement, um, and then read a career goal statement. And if those two things fought each other, it would be very difficult for a judge to want to continue reading. They like that. You're probably studying something because of something that you learned or something you saw or something you experienced. Some students don't know what they want to study, so they're general studies and they're liberal arts, and that is fine. It is fine to write about, I don't know what I want to do. It's fine to write about, I haven't decided what I want to do. These are the things that I'm passionate about. These are the things I want to learn about. It's fine to do that. Um, it's fine to write about failure. It's fine to say, I tried this and it didn't work. But this is what I learned from my failure. Judges don't necessarily see failure as a negative, especially if you're taking a learning opportunity away from that failure. But the connections matter. We have students who've identified needs, who've found a solution to the problem, who put a project into play, did the best they could. It failed, but they learned at the end of it, and they've gotten scholarships. So it's just the way you present your failures. It's okay to write about failures. It's not okay to write about, I don't have anything to write about. That if you don't have anything to write about on a scholarship application, it's a pretty good indication that's not a good fit for you. Judges don't want to read, I don't have anything to write about. Um, Judges don't want to read, I don't have time to be involved. I just want a scholarship. Um, there may be scholarships for people like that. They're not on the scholarship application for Phi Theta Kappa. Um, Judges don't want to read about, um, I forgot what I did, but it was impactful. Or you can ask my advisor what I did. They don't want to read that. And I know that it's difficult, especially for some people, to talk about what they're doing, to talk about their successes, to kind of brag on themselves. But scholarship applications are a time for you to put the spotlight on you. Even if you did something in a group, it's okay to talk about your role in it. It's okay to talk about, I did this and I did this. And if you can quantify what you did with numbers, better, better, better. If you can say we impacted 537 families by giving out 7,000 pounds of food, impactful. Those numbers are good. So anytime you can quantify what you're doing, even if it's in a volunteer activity or your essay or anything, the more you can quantify, the better. Um, so that's kind of it. I encourage you to look at the support library. I encourage you to don't be scared of the application. Even if you spend 15 minutes a day on it, you can get it done by December 1st. Um, if you're getting ready to graduate in December and go to the 4-year school and you haven't made your mind up about where you want to go, I encourage you to look at the transfer opportunities in PTK Connect. There are tons, and you can see all the little blue dots on the map, tons and tons of scholarship opportunities brought to you courtesy of our college relations team, pictured on the screen. Um, PTK Connect is the place to go. I think it's connect.ptk.org. Kristen, if you can find that link, you can put that in the chat as well. Um, if you're getting ready to graduate and transfer in January or even May, go ahead and take advantage of PTK Edge. It's one of the benefits of you being a PTK member. It'll get you ready to transfer. It will get you prepared. You can certainly start looking in PTK Connect. But the Edge will give you a really good idea of what happens during the transfer process and what questions to ask. You can do that alongside scholarship applications because you don't want to wait to the last minute to apply for scholarships to pay for that 4-year school degree because some have about a year's turnaround time. So you probably want to be applying for some of these scholarships in January, even if you're not going to graduate until May and transfer until August. Um, and then I can't speak a whole lot to this, but what schools should you consider attending if you're undecided? I would make a list. And in the first column, I would put my dream schools. Those are the schools that I would love, love, love to go to school. Might not be able to get in, might not be able to afford it, but you call them the dream schools. Those are like, if I could just go anywhere and do anything, I go to school here. Um, my next column would be my reach schools. Like I might be able to go there. Um, they've got a good program. It's a little iffy. Finances are a little iffy. You know, their admission requirements are a little stringent, but I can reach, I can stretch, I can get out of my comfort zone and I can apply there. And then the third column would be your safety schools. Those would be the schools that you pretty much know that you can get into, maybe some schools close to home, maybe some open access state institutions. But you should certainly build a list, not just one school. Don't just lock yourself down to one school. Go ahead and Sarah, if you're on here, you can probably speak to this. You're much more versed in dream reach and safety than I am. But if you have any advice for transfer students, um, certainly pop that in the chat and share with them. But certainly it's never too early to start looking for your transfer process. It's never too early to start applying. It's never too early to start collecting scholarship information. And you might want to take a screenshot of this. This has the links. It's got the scholarship application link. It's got our email address. It's got our phone number, the support library. Um, like I said, we're real people. We're here to help you. We're here to help you 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, Central Time. You can send us an email 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do check that periodically through the weekend sometimes. If there's if there's an emergency or a technical issue, we'll try to get you some help. Otherwise, we try to answer your tickets within 24 to 48 hours, depending on the volume of email in there. And then the scholarship application is open right now, 24/7, available online, mobile optimized uh, until December the 1st at scholarships.ptk.org.